It's been a long time since I've uploaded a vlog to my YouTube channel. I think my last ones were probably way back over a year ago when I finished my orthodontic treatment. But since I'm feeling a bit under the weather tonight and struggling to sleep, and you're probably all sick of the Angry Birds walkthrough videos that I keep posting, I thought I'd put something a little bit different up tonight. Something a bit more serious. I mean, this is going to be a one-off probably. But I wanted to talk a little about depression and mental health problems. Because I know a lot of my friends and subscribers suffer from these issues. And it won't be a surprise to a lot of you, but it may be a surprise to some of you. I also suffer from severe depression. And I think yesterday I was suffering particularly badly, and it just made me feel like I wanted to reach out to others with similar issues to me, and maybe get people talking a bit more about what is often seen as an invisible illness, and maybe not taken as seriously as having a physical issue. So, first of all, to talk a little bit about me. I've been suffering on and off with depression since I was 7. I used to suffer from severe panic attacks, and I'd start crying and screaming without any real reason behind that. I get particularly anxious at night and feel trapped inside my own house, claustrophobic. Doctors were no use to me, and I don't think anybody really knew why it happened. And I just want to reach out to people and say that's totally fine, because so often we're told to snap out of it or just get over it, as if it's something that we're creating in our own heads. But actually, mental health issues are just as real as any other health problem, and it's not something that the sufferer can avoid. So, to be honest, for a few years I felt that I'd overcome my problems, and I pretty much got over it. But I think about 3 years ago I went through an extreme setback when somebody I considered to be my best friend and soulmate treated me very badly. And I think he had almost kept me together for several years, because when I'd go through bad periods, he would be there to talk to me. But then when I found out that he had been treating me badly behind my back, I felt I had no one else to turn to. So over the last few years, I've kind of gone downhill. I have my ups and downs. And the smallest thing can set me off. I mean, obviously, I like to think that I seem relatively normal in my day-to-day life. Maybe some of you would disagree, but yeah, I think, you know, obviously I cope perfectly well in society. I work, I go out, I have friends, but the smallest thing can trigger a panic attack. And for instance, I don't know why I'm sharing so much with you, my YouTube subscribers, but I guess I just wanted to get all of this out there. But for instance, the trigger this week was, don't laugh, I'm 25, I should be over all this. I've had a crush on a guy for several months. The guy had a girlfriend. I'm not the sort who'll be the other woman. I would never even let him know my feelings. He's completely oblivious. But I saw him a couple of days ago, and he perfectly casually and harmlessly told me that his girlfriend was moving in with him. He had no idea that I would be upset by that. It was just general conversation. But for me, who had been secretly sitting on the side hoping that they might naturally break up at some point and I might have a chance. Don't say I'm a bad person. I know all of us girls have been there at some point. It should be a normal day-to-day thing, all right? It's sad. I know my chance is probably over now, but for me, it became a major issue. So I had to get away from this guy as quickly as I could, and I was very polite to him, you know, and thankfully it was just before we were about to say goodbye anyway. But I managed to get back to my car, and I started crying. But I was quite surprised because I was still relatively calm. Managed to get home with just a few tears, catching my breath, all the symptoms at the start of a panic attack. But I managed to get through the day and it was all relatively okay. Then yesterday I had a severe meltdown. You can probably still hear my voice is a bit cracked up. I sobbed and screamed myself hoarse. My parents, who I live with, were not at all understanding. All my dad did was raised his fist to me and said that he would kill me because I was embarrassing him in front of the neighbours, which again is not a great way to deal with somebody with mental health problems because we can't help it. I know it's irrational. You know it's irrational. We can sit here and talk about it, but the fact of the matter is it can happen to anyone in any walk of life. And the smallest thing can trigger a panic attack. Obviously I've been very down in the dumps. I think it didn't help that there's a lot of other things going on in my life at the moment, and this was just like the final straw. But this is something that I don't really talk about with people normally, so I actually get scared, and this is another stigma associated with mental health, because a lot of people who talk about it are scared to talk about the symptoms they're suffering because they're told they're attention seekers or whatnot. So this is a big issue for me that I would not generally mention to people, but obviously when we're going down the route of mental health issues and depression, anxiety, we have to touch on self-harming. I've had suicidal thoughts, especially over the last 3 years. I've been as near to taking an overdose as having the tablets in my hand. I felt like a failure for not killing myself because I've felt there's no reason to live. And one of my serious issues is headbanging. Because at the time that you are suffering from the panic attack, you want to cause pain to yourself. You want to punish yourself. Whether that's for the symptoms you're experiencing that you feel you should be able to control and the feeling of helplessness, or whether it's whatever has triggered the panic attack, which makes you feel there's no reason to live anymore. Again, the people I live with are not the best, because they'll just say, right, go ahead, kill yourself. You'll be better off out of the world anyway. And which is not the best thing to say. But what I really wanted to do, because I know what it's like to be there, I wanted to reach out to people who are probably suffering from the same things as me right now. And just say there is never any reason. Nothing can be so serious as to make it worthwhile hurting, or worse, yourself. because you will wake up and there will be better days ahead, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. So what I really wanted to say was, doctors are often useless at this kind of thing. It depends on your doctor. My doctor is awful. They kind of shrug it off like it's an invisible illness. What are you doing here? We've got more important physical issues to deal with. They tell me to ring a private counsellor. A, I don't have the money to go to a private counsellor. B, another thing which triggers my anxiety is making phone calls to strangers. So it's something that is kind of a vicious circle with me. My doctor doesn't believe in medicating for mental health issues. And also, if you're on the NHS, as many of you will know, the waiting lists are appalling. Obviously do go to a doctor and try and get yourself checked out, see if there's anything they can advise you to do. But if you're in serious danger to yourself, call the suicide hotline, call the Samaritans, just call somebody, get a friend or relative to come to you, because nothing is worth it. I banged my head on the stair railings 140 times yesterday. I've got an enormous bruise. I can't even put my head down. I feel like an idiot, and yet I know I couldn't have helped it. I just don't want other people to suffer. Even if you have to reach out to other YouTubers, people who are suffering the same thing as you, I'm always here to lend an ear, but obviously if I'm in bed or if I'm offline, I'm not going to advise that people talk to me. Just make sure there's somebody else that you can talk to who will be there to support you. Because there are people who care out there, even if you don't believe it right now. So I guess that was really what I wanted to say. Obviously, if you've suffered from mental health issues, depression, anxiety, etc., or if you have any comments to add, I'd be very happy to hear from you. You can subscribe to me, and I will probably be making a follow-up video to this at some point, depending on how much response I get to it, and if people want to talk further about their health issues and mine. I'm happy to tell you all about my life story, and help wherever I can. And yeah, so I know this is a bit of a weird and rather serious blog for my YouTube channel, but I think it's something that needs to be said, and I am guilty of keeping my feelings to myself, and I think sometimes we just have to share and let people know what we're suffering, and a problem shared is a problem halved, isn't that the old saying? So yeah, it's hard to say to all the mental health sufferers out there, but try to keep smiling, and I really hope that this video can reach out to somebody, and even if I help one person, I think it was worth sharing my story. So yeah, if you've got anything to say or any questions, comment below, subscribe, write to me, whatever. And hopefully I'll speak to you all soon on a more positive subject.